I've loved the XCOM games ever since I was a kid. Over the years, I've never quite known why I found these games so addictive. I just did and played them to death. I always wondered if it might be the progression of the game through things like research or engineering projects, or maybe the other sides of management, like making sure you have equipment for your soldiers or keeping satellites above countries to monitor UFO activity. But now I've finally realized what makes it so easy to sink countless hours into them without realizing, and it's not what I ever would have thought it was. And to clarify right at the start, this concept can be applied to every strategy game in the series. I'm just using background footage of Enemy Unknown because it's my personal favorite, and when I sat down to record some B-roll for this video, it was just the game I wanted to play the most. But with all that out of the way, let's talk about what makes XCOM so much fun. So in an interview with Jake Solomon, the lead designer and creative director of the XCOM games and the recently released Marvel's Midnight Suns, he said that XCOM is at its best when players are taking risk. And that one word gets at the very core of what makes XCOM such a deeply engaging experience: risk. Every time you take a risk during a mission in XCOM, it will have a drastic impact on the rest of the game from that point forward, for better or for worse. Say you take a small risk like running a soldier through an Overwatch to move them to a safer position. If this decision pays off, you get a slight breath of relief and move on with the mission from a more advantageous position. If your soldier gets shot and hurt, you'll have to play more carefully for the rest of the mission to prevent losing them. And if they get straight out killed, you're now down a unit, and alongside losing them for the rest of the playthrough thanks to permadeath, your immediate mission has also become a lot harder. Losing a unit in XCOM can be easily compared to a match of chess. Imagine you're playing a game and you're down to only one knight, one bishop, one rook, your queen, and your king. Now imagine that you're against a player that hasn't lost a single piece of their own, and that's pretty much how you start each mission in XCOM. Now think for a moment about how you might approach winning this game. Now on top of that, imagine that you lose your queen early on, and this completely changes your approach and makes you scramble to come up with new strategies on the spot in order to win. Going back to XCOM though, let's take an example of higher risk and higher reward. Imagine you have an assault soldier and you use their run gun ability to run straight up to an enemy and blast them with the shotgun. If the risk pays off, you hit the blast, kill the enemy, and you've immediately taken them off the field in one move. This results in you getting a major dopamine hit as a player, knowing that you took a calculated risk and triumphed. But if you don't win that roll of the dice, now your soldier is positioned directly next to an enemy, and as soon as their turn starts, your soldier takes a shot to the face, immediately killing them. Now, like I said before, you've lost one of your essential pieces on the field, and you need to scramble to devise a new winning strategy. And that's why risk makes the entire game flow of XCOM work. If you win, and it feels really good to win. If you lose, you now have to completely change your approach, leading to stressful and engaging gameplay, which makes you more likely to lose, which means that you'll probably fall into a loop of constantly changing your approach and strategies on the fly. I've heard some people over the years say that they wish there wasn't permadeath for your soldiers in XCOM because it's so easy to make mistakes and lose them in these games, as these aren't easy games to play. But that's the only reason the risk even works. Losing the dice roll on a calculated risk is only scary if there's a real consequence for losing. And while a lot of the time players can just play carefully and avoid risk altogether if they really want to win, there are some missions where this won't even be an option. For example, the bomb defusal missions give you a certain amount of turns until the bomb blows up the area, displayed in the top right of the screen. This timer can be pushed out by one turn if a soldier finds a power node and disables it, but ultimately these turn limits will push you into riskier strategies, as you need to keep your units alive. But you also need to move quickly to avoid losing all of your units, along with probably the funding of an entire nation if the bomb goes off. Other moments like this exist throughout the game, such as if one of your units is critically wounded, they will go down for 3 turns. You then need to either use a medkit, which players will need to craft and equip to a soldier manually in order to have one, or finish the mission within 3 turns to get the soldier back to base and prevent them from bleeding out. If you didn't bring any medkits, or like what happened to me while I was recording, the soldier that becomes critically wounded was the one with the medkit, it becomes a mad dash to clear the area and complete your objectives before losing them for good. Overall, these tense moments are what makes XCOM XCOM. And generally the things I spoke about in this video can be applied to all strategy games. Well, the good ones at least. If a game allows you to use the same strategy to win throughout the entirety of it, it gets boring rather quick. And the way that XCOM throws so many unpredictable twists and turns your way is the reason I've always preferred it to other strategy games on the market. But if you only take one thing away from this video, play a little riskier. You might just find yourself having more fun with the game than you ever have before. But what do you guys think? Do you think that Jake Solomon and now myself have the right idea about what makes XCOM so fun? Or do you think there's something else to it for you personally? Let me know in the comments below. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to leave a like, a comment, a subscription, anything to let me and the algorithm know that you enjoyed. If you disagreed with me, make sure to dislike the video and write me an extra angry comment about why you disagree and tell me to delete the video. We've been doing these shorter discussion videos about various games like this recently, so if you enjoyed this one, then you'll probably enjoy my last one, and I'll have it linked right here on screen for those of you that want to check it out.